Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I am your host, Brandis Daniel.
I'm your co-host, Sibylla Muti.
And we have a special guest today. Super excited to have Miss Sheneya on the line, who is going to talk to us about all things finances. Welcome.
Hi.
Woo-hoo!
Great to be on here.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing amazing. Super excited to talk about finances. My favorite topic.
Ooh,
I'm telling
girl.
you.
You know, most people love to talk about money when it's doing good, but finances, like the construct of it, people are like, nah, I don't really want to talk about that.
I definitely agree. I think most times people definitely, first of all, feel uncomfortable really analyzing their own personal finance situation, but people have to get a lot more comfortable with verbally expressing it, and especially seeking out professional help when needed, because that's what's going to get you further. And if you're not comfortable talking about it, how can we sit there and help you when things aren't going so well?
You
I
know
love how she jumped right in.
I know, right? Right in. And look, Sybil, I'm thinking, like, Sheneya, here's what, it's kind of like, look, coming to church. People are like, we want to get ourselves together. We want to get ourselves right first before we come and talk to you.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. People want to make sure they have a good story to tell. Like, they want to make sure they've done the absolute best before they go and get the help they need. And by that time, I think you've crashed too many cars and you find yourself in more of an urgent situation than you should be.
Right, exactly.
So we even had a question in our Facebook group, Great Girlfriends. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, I don't know why you're not. You're missing out, blah, blah, blah. So much amazing stuff happening. And in the Facebook group, we talked about, finance. We asked the question, what are some of the things that you're doing, if anything? And a lot of people were honest to say they're not quite saving. There's not enough money left after they, budgeted their checks to save. They are not on a financial plan, and these are people that are deep into their careers, have children, have a lot of responsibility. But in the group, a lot of people aren't using a tool to help them make good financial decisions or even looking at their money. So, for great girlfriends who are feeling like, alone or feeling ashamed, you're not alone. There are a lot of people who are not, I won't say financially conscious even, right now. Do you find that that's something you hear a lot?
Yes, it's definitely something that I hear a lot. I honestly think the issue nowadays is that the money is too much in our faces. Like the fact that we can go on our banking app and see what our balance is. The fact that it's easy to access, having a debit card, so you can go online and go on an online shop, or you can go to a department store and use your card. It's so easy. Back in the day, I mean, I'm very young, but I just remember back in the day when debit and credit cards weren't really a thing. So the fact that you had cash and people kind of held on to it a lot more than they do now. Because now with the swipe, you just do it so unconsciously. You're just swiping, swiping, swiping. Before you know it, your paycheck is done, or you may be in some type of credit card debt. So my biggest advice to people who struggle with this is this one concept. Things that are out of sight are out of mind. That's a saying that a lot of us hear, but it's applicable to finances. So out of sight, out of mind. So when it comes to saving or utilizing credit, I always tell my clients to kind of keep those things away from you from your day-to-day activity. So when you're saving, you should automatically have a deposit going into a savings account that you don't have easy access to. So I recommend a lot of online savings accounts like Markets by Goldman Sachs. There's also another one by JP Morgan. And with this, what you're doing with this is like you're making sure that that money is automatically being pulled out of your check. And you can't easily just use a card to kind of swipe and get that, because online savings accounts you don't get a debit card. So it makes it that much more easier to save. So again, my biggest thing is you just should make sure that if you have a problem with spending, you should try to separate your finances even more. By having an account that's not easily accessible, then also being sure that it's going to be automatically debited from your card every time you get paid.
That's so good.
That's good. That's good. But what about the woman that's saying, I have, what do they say? I have more month at the end than money. What about the woman that's saying, I don't have enough to even start there? Because there's a lot of people that are living under the pressure of, those that check to check, where they've got child care, they've got car notes, and a lot of things and probably a lot of stuff to be reprioritized. So what do you say to the woman who says, I don't have enough to do that?
Right. So, I mean, that statement itself is like, all right. So you just say that you don't have enough means you have to have had to begin with. So the issue is that it's not that you don't have enough, it's that you had and you did not prioritize your money the right way. So many of us are even guilty of when we get bonuses from our jobs or we get increases in our salary or income, we literally just use that money as if it's been there. So it's like, again, you're saying that you don't have, but you had it, but you didn't prioritize it as you should. So for that woman, the goals, honestly, I love budgeting and saving. Those are very, very important, but making extra income is also a very, very important topic. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're budgeting too much and now you're too tight. You can't enjoy life. You can't do the things that you love to do. That's not the goal. We only have one life to live. So you do want to make sure you are enjoying life. So, but the thing is, when you get this extra money from doing a side income, I know when I started, I used to babysit when I was 13 years old up until I was 18. And then I started doing hair in college, so I had money from that. And then now, like with my business, that's like a side income for me as well. So the thing is, when you get this side income, you don't want to use it as if you already had it. You want to use it as your tool to begin saving, your tool to begin investing, your tool to begin building and creating generational wealth, and that's really the goal.
So side income, ladies, one stream is not enough. One
stream
is not enough. And I mean, a lot of times, people are at that point where they're in a career, and it's like maybe it's time for you to switch. If you're not in a spot where you're earning what you need or deserve, maybe it's time to look at a new company. Because a lot of times we'll sit in a career and get these micro promotions and micro increases, and it might be time to leap and move to the next level. And in 2020, you don't want to sit in a position where you can be earning so much more. But you're so comfortable at a job that you've been at for so many years, but they don't see your value. So you're not earning what you could be earning for the same amount of time that you're using.
Exactly. One of my old managers did tell me that she found, because she worked for a company for 5 years, then after that, she stayed at a company for no longer than 2 or 3 years because she found that she experienced significant increases in her salary from moving from company to company. I think people don't understand that when you're at a company for a long time, you possess a very valuable skill set at doing what you do. So another company is going to find that skill set a lot more valuable. Just the fact that you gained it from another place, you have that external knowledge, so they may value higher, and again, that'll result in an increase in your pay. So that is definitely something to consider.
Yeah,
I had a great girlfriend who I think she was at her company for close to 10 years and finally said, I'm not inspired anymore. I'm doing work that I don't love. I'm not really interested in coming to work. And ended up started talking to recruiters about like different opportunities and ended up getting, I think, 2 additional job offers that were paying her significantly more, a significant bigger bonus as well. And it's like, dang, what are you missing because you're just comfortable? Like there's so many things we're missing out of comfort. And and speaking of comfort, I think, the first time, Sheneya, you and I sat down to talk, I told you, like, this makes me nervous. And you were like, why are you nervous? I was like, I don't like sitting down having these conversations, but I know that in order for me to go where I need to go, I need to, sit with someone who can say, all right, here's where you are, here's where you need to go. What do you think that is? Do you think that's, like, in your experience, is that everyone? Does everyone kind of have like that emotional challenge of sitting and talking about their finances? Is it just women? Is it just women of
Mhm.
color? And how can we kind of get past that emotional hurdle?
Mhm. So I think it's people in general. I've experienced the same type of introduction breakthrough with a lot of people that I work with, and honestly, you can't blame anyone. Like we have these perceptions of ourselves in the world. So it's like when somebody asks you about money, they're kind of pulling back the veil and really taking a deep look into your life. So it is very, very sentimental to you to understand that your finances are something that affects you personally. Because a lot of times when we look at it, people are stressed out or they're worried or depressed, and most of those things are linked to the fact that it's a lack of money. So that's how sentimental money could be, and that's how personal it could be. So I don't blame people for having that feeling about it, which is why I try to create a comfortable space for people to just open up about it. Because again, even if you feel that way, if you feel sensitive about it, if you don't open up, we can't fix your situation. So I think to counteract that, you have to just be more confident and own up to the fact that you're not comfortable being where you are. The sooner you own up to the fact that you're not comfortable of not knowing or being unsure about how to manage your money, the quicker you can work with somebody to get you out of that. So it's really an internal thing. So you have to tell yourself, like, all right, I'm at this position. I do not want to be here. What's going to take me to get out of here? It's going to take you leaving your comfort zone. That same type of philosophy that applies to every other aspect of our lives. The quicker you open up, the quicker we can resolve, the quicker you can grow, the quicker you can manifest what you want your financial life to look like. But again, it always starts with you being open and owning up to the fact that you are not comfortable where you are, and you know that with hard work, with help, you can make it and take yourself to the next level.
Mhm. So, Sheneya, we've got a ton of entrepreneurs that are listeners in our community, and shout out to all of our entrepreneur listeners who, when you're in the early stages of entrepreneurship, at every stage, let me not say early, let me just say when you're in entrepreneurship, especially for those who are bootstrapping, there's a lot of times where you have to compromise certain decisions financially. Maybe
Mhm.
they compromise on their retirement income or their savings, different things that they have to pull from to be able to afford to invest in their businesses. Are there any
Mhm.
hacks that you have for our entrepreneurs, things that we should always consider regardless of the weather, things that we should be looking at in the larger picture to kind of protect for the day and also protect for the future?
Mhm. So I definitely would say that when you are embarking on a journey to become an entrepreneur, it's so important for you to first and foremost understand what's it gonna take to get you where you need to be financially so you can plan. So I love this quote that I always use when I speak is the sooner you prepare, the faster you propel. So the sooner you gather your information, get your research done, understand your responsibilities and understand your projections, your cash flow that will be needed to get you to where you need to operate, the faster your business can grow. So that just starts with you knowing and understanding. Because what you don't want to do is kind of throw yourself somewhere and then now you're looking like, oh my God, I didn't take into consideration that having this office space is going to cost me 2K a month. You could have planned for that. Like, all right, I know that I'm going to need to at least have 2K a month in cash flow to cover this one bill. And that goes for
Mhm.
other bills as well. So again, it's just like planning, understanding what's going to take. Then obviously there's a bunch of things that may happen. Operations may not meet the expectations for each month, and you may find yourself like, all right, now what do I do? So I definitely suggest that entrepreneurs have a backup. So whether that's your own money that you have saved up in a savings account or credit, and everybody's scared of credit. Credit is not a bad thing. If you're using credit to produce you income, it is not a bad thing at all. You should definitely take advantage of it if needed. So again, it just comes down to planning. So you know how much you need to hit in revenue each month to cover your expenses, but then you should have a backup. So whether that's a savings account, whether that's a credit card, business credit card, so more specifically, just so that you can leverage that in the case that you actually need to. And then my second tip would be a lot of times entrepreneurs find themselves in holes because they kind of dig themselves in there. So they could have been profitable, but you've been pulling money out your business throughout the year. And so I tell most of my clients that in your first year, honestly, aside from your living expenses, so your home and your food expenses, every profit that you make should be reinvested back into your business. So it's not like you're going
Mhm.
to have the same year 5 years in a row. It should be you had a okay first year, a okay second year, and now the years after that are going to be exponentially bigger because you have more working capital, and that's the goal. So if you're netting out at year end just because you've been spending money on things that are not um, being invested back to your business, you're kind of like slowing down your process. You're slowing down the process that you could have made to increase your revenue and put yourself in a way more comfortable situation than you're in now.
Mhm.
That's so
Mhm.
good. That is so
Any
good.
tools? What are some of the apps that you think are really useful for people to kind of have a really good view on their money and even help with improving some of the credit that's tied to our money, right? Because a lot of people are struggling with their credit repair and looking for ways that they can make the small steps, not necessarily, get to 850 today, but make a couple of steps in the right direction for 2020.
Mhm. So I love this bunch of apps that you can use for budgeting to have your money like kind of in your face. I love Acorn. I love that app because what it does is take a little bit of your money, so like your leftover change. So if you bought something for $10 and you're supposed to get back like 48 cents, it'll calculate all of this change that you're not really thinking about, and before you know it, it could be a $10 investment, and it'll help you invest that into something. So that follows the concept of out of sight, out of mind. Because when we pay for
Mhm.
something, you see 1036, we're not thinking about the remainder 64 cents for that one purchase. But that 64
Mhm.
cents over time, it'll add up, and then end of month, now you have $10 to $20 to invest in something. And the app will automatically invest in something for you. So that's a really good app to use. Aside from that, I do recommend people kind of building their own thing because we all have different perspectives when it comes to how we want to see our information on our face. So like for me, I'm a very like I'm a very visual person, so like I have to see my things on paper or my vision board or my whiteboard. So if you're that type of person, then try creating a sheet for yourself and just really writing down your income sources, how much you're getting each month, and what your expenses are. The more you put your money in your face, the better you can manage it. So, which is why I'm big on even if you do have the app, to still have something written down so you can know what you're working towards.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's good. Put your money in your face. I think so many times we don't want to look at it. We need to look at it, see what's going on. People run from it. They run from it and
Mhm.
burn through it, and then there's really nothing to look at because you're not even paying
Mhm.
attention. And I guess if you equate it to driving a car, how can you get to where you're going if you don't look in front of you and pay attention to the road and
Exactly.
be aware of what's happening? So
Mhm.
that's so good to even take a look at it. But
Mhm. But
then
That's
also
a
there's
great
sometimes,
analogy.
yeah, because
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
people look at their finances and it scares them. Like you'll look at your expenses
yeah,
like, wow, I spent this much on Uber. I spent this much eating out, and it'll
girl,
bother you. It'll bother because it
yeah.
bothers me. I've been in that situation. I mean, it's like $500 a month on Uber. What am I thinking? Like that's ridiculous. So that being in my face, now I understand. Like, all right, I have to fix this. So again, putting your money in your face is the best way to kind of tackle your financial situation because you know what you have to work with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, there's this big mystical monster, the financial advisor, right? And and I say monster because I know people that are deathly afraid of even going in because they don't know the first question to ask to build a
Mhm.
relationship. How do you know you have a good one? How do you know you're in the right business? What should they be saying to you? What are some of the
Mhm.
things that our great girlfriends need to look out for in a financial advisor?
That's a really good question. I've never been asked that before, and I think that it's so important because I shop around for financial advisors. I'm a CPA, so I kind of already know what type of back knowledge I'm looking for, and this is what I'm going to share with you
Mhm.
guys now. So, what you do not want in a financial advisor is somebody who's throwing you options without fully understanding where you are and where you're trying to go. A lot of times financial advisors will come on board and they're trying to sell you different products or they're trying to tell you where you should invest your money without taking the time to actually understand you as a person. So that
Mm-hmm.
honestly understanding you as a person dictates a lot. If you're the kind of person who's a more safe investor, you might not want to put all of your investment money in commodities like stocks or things like that. You may want to invest in more reliable instruments, maybe debt instruments or treasury notes. So everything depends on you as a person. Then again, with retirement, on what your goals are. Because if you're younger, you may not need to worry too much about retirement right at the beginning, because maybe you need more of your money in your pocket. Or again with life insurance, maybe at the beginning you may not need a full $1 million life insurance plan. Maybe you need a plan that you can start at a lower amount and then increase over time so that you can have more money in your pocket. So what you don't want to do is end up with a financial advisor or planner who's trying to dictate what you should do with your money before they even get to know you as a person. So if you meet one
Mm-hmm.
who's just off the back trying to sell you this, sell you that, tell you to invest your money in this and that, and they haven't asked you one question about your financial goals or where you see yourself in the future, that person is a red flag to not work with that person. The ones that I work with, they really take time to actually know you, understand your situation, understand your growth, because we don't all grow at the same rate either. So you need to find somebody who's going to work with you and know that you are going to take your time. Like finance is very, very sensitive, again, that we all know. So having somebody on your team who understands that and values that and respects that and works with you based off of what you want to do and how you want to grow. That's what you need to find in a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm. That's so good.
Love it.
Okay.
Now,
our great girlfriend's going to be looking for you.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. Now, how can they find you, Sheneya?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at The People's CPA. So that's The People's with an S CPA, and also on Twitter at The People's CPA. And then I have a website. It's www.solafinancial.com. Sola is SOLA. Financial.com, and send out inquiries, send me an email. My email's on the site. If you have any other personal financial questions, definitely feel free to reach out. And I do offer personal financial coaching. So if that's the route you want to go, just definitely hit me up. I'm here to be a great girlfriend.
I love it. Great girlfriend, we wanted to make sure we equipped you a boost off, a reminder that in 2020 you can have the clarity you want around your finances. You can make those simple choices. It doesn't have to be difficult, but you do have to make a choice.
Yes.
You have to make a step, a move.
Yes.
And then put your next foot in front of the other to make the next choice. So thank you so much for being here with us today and giving us all these insights and warming up our money blood. Yeah, we're so grateful.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of The Great Girlfriends.
Yes, if you enjoyed this episode, please share this with 3 of your great girlfriends.
Absolutely. And make sure you jump onto iTunes right now and leave your review. Let the world know how you feel about our 5-star show.
Absolutely. And we like to end our episodes by thanking our husbands.
Thank you, Kwaku.
Thank you, Mr. Rich Daniel.
And then we thank the minis. Thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And thank you to Miss Sky.
And thank you, great girlfriends, for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter. Make sure you listen each Wednesday on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Bean, Podcast Republic, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and every other podcasting service.
Yes, and please check us out on our social. You can follow us on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_GreatGFS,
on Facebook,
The Great Girlfriends.
And please do join our Facebook group with over 16,000 great girlfriends.
Yay!
And that is
The Great Girlfriends.
Awesome.
Make sure you post your questions online, share with your friends.
Keep listening
and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil.
I'm Brandis.
And we're signing off. Peace.